with several centimetres lying in some places. Otherwise, it is looking cloudy and wet for many of us. With that then, temperatures not dropping a huge amount towards the south, but across northern areas a few degrees lower than last night. Could be a bit of frost around in some sheltered places away from those brisk winds coming in from the east and where we get any clear skies. Through tomorrow morning, the brightest weather will be across western parts of Scotland. Cloudier, wetter and wintry further east. Meanwhile, it's a very wet start across much of Northern Ireland. Rain continuing to build up through the day, so we could see some problems. 60 to 80 millimetres perhaps of rain building up across some of the higher ground. Also a cloudy, wet start across much of England and Wales, and again in the southwest and across parts of Wales. We could see some impacts as a result of the heavy rain that we've seen through today and will continue into tomorrow. The rain actually across some parts of the southwest will become a bit more showery, so breaking up a little bit, some drier, perhaps even brighter spells, but with that, the potential for a few rumbles of thunder. Temperatures in the south look similar to today, maybe a degree higher, 12, maybe 13 Celsius possible, but further north, still a cold feel, especially with that brisk easterly wind. Then into Saturday, some brighter weather across some parts of northern England, eastern England as well at times, but otherwise again a lot of cloud and a lot of rain. The rain perhaps not as heavy as what we're seeing at the moment, but nonetheless it could cause some problems just because how wet the ground is. More cloudy, often wet weather to come as we go through the back end of the weekend and into next week. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We want you to set off on the destination of your dreams this year, as you could win an incredible holiday for two worth £10,000. Courtesy of Riviera Travel, you'll get to choose from 47 tours in over 30 worldwide destinations. We'll also give you £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure you really make a splash this summer.
For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Brave.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, Britain. You're watching State of the Nation here on GB News with me, Alex Armstrong. Of course, standing in for the ethereal Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg. On the programme tonight,
I entered politics because I wanted to change our country for the better. And I still believe that most people who serve in public life do so for the same reason.
Sir Keir Starmer has issued what appears to be the most hollow apology in modern political history. The Prime Minister admitted during Prime Minister's questions that he knew about Mandelson's links to Jeffrey Epstein, if not to the full extent. So was it a catastrophic lapse in judgment, or was he turning a blind eye? And why does contrition come so fast when his own position is under threat? Also tonight.
There is no legal basis on which we have to give away the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands.
Speaking this evening, the Prime Minister has reportedly pulled his Diego Garcia Chagos deal from Parliament until after the February recess. Campaigners are calling it a huge victory, but the news comes despite claims the USA is now backing the deal. Is it time the government accepts the Chagos deal has failed? Plus,
How can it be right to turn a blind eye to racist hatred of any kind?
well, after apologising to Jeffrey Epstein's victims, Keir Starmer turned to migration, arguing values and contribution matter more than skin colour and dismissing what he called liberal vanity. He slammed Robert Jenrick over his white faces remarks and left over anti-Semitism on pro-Palestine marches. Is this finally a sign of leadership or merely a distraction from record immigration under his premiership? And
today marks the beginning of something long overdue. Today we open the hearings of our independent rape gang inquiry.
this week, what many call the biggest scandal in modern British history is back in the spotlight as the Independent MP Rupert Lowe launches a crowd-funded inquiry into the rape gangs. Whilst Mr Lowe has been lauded for his efforts, it's also being asked why it's taken a crowdfunder and backbench MPs for this to happen. Well, State of the Nation starts right now. And throughout this evening, I'll be joined by my preternaturally perspicacious panel, the political commentator Aman Bogle and the Labour councillor Sebastian Salek. As ever, I want to know what you think. gbnews.com/your say and let me know your views. But now it's time for your favourite time of the day. It's the news with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much. The top stories this hour. Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee has said it cannot commit to a timetable for reviewing documents relating to Peter Mandelson's vetting to become ambassador to the US. Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer has issued a public apology over the Peter Mandelson scandal, saying serious evidence has now emerged that he was misled. Speaking at an event today, the Prime Minister said he entered politics out of service and duty. He accused Mandelson of falling far short of that standard. He said while Mandelson's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein was known, no one knew the depth and the darkness of the relationship. He claims Mandelson repeatedly downplayed it during vetting. The Prime Minister told victims of Epstein's abuse he was sorry.
The victims of Epstein have lived with trauma that most of us can barely comprehend. And they've had to relive it again and again. I am sorry. Sorry for what was done to you. Sorry that so many people with power failed you. Sorry for having believed Mandelson's lies and appointed him.
Donald Trump has signalled that he will back the Chagos Islands handover deal after he launched an attack on the agreement just last month. The US president previously labelled the deal an act of great stupidity, prompting fears he could withdraw his previous support for it. The deal would see the UK transfer sovereignty of the islands whilst leasing back a joint UK-US military base on the largest island, Diego Garcia. In a social media post, Mr Trump warned the US could militarily secure the base on the island if the lease agreement ever falls apart. Downing Street says Sir Keir Starmer had discussed the Chagos Islands with Mr Trump earlier today, adding that the UK and US would continue to work closely on the implementation of the deal. In other news, an Iranian asylum seeker who came to the UK illegally on the back of a lorry in July of 2024 has been sentenced to 7.5 years for sexually assaulting a teenage girl. 29-year-old Ahmad Reza Khalafi previously pleaded guilty to sexually assaulting the teenage girl at St Albans Crown Court in December last year. His Honour Justice man handed Khalafi a 4.5-year custodial sentence and a further 3 years on licence. Khalafi was granted refugee status in the summer of 2024, claiming he would face persecution if he returned to Iran after converting to Christianity. His victim, 19-year-old Abby Johnson, who has waived her right to anonymity, told GB News she wants to save someone else from going through what she went through. And a cybersecurity student at De Montfort University who died after being stabbed in Leicester city centre has been named by police as 20-year-old Khalid Oladipo from London. Leicestershire Police says the victim was involved in an altercation with another man in the street who fled before officers arrived. An 18-year-old has been arrested on suspicion of murder. Those are the latest headlines. For now, more from me in an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Welcome back to Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation with me, Alex Armstrong, this evening. Well, I think Keir Starmer has just delivered the most hollow apology in modern British politics.
I am sorry. Sorry for what was done to you. Sorry that so many people with power failed you. Sorry for having believed Mandelson's lies and appointed him.
Wait, sorry for what exactly, Prime Minister? Because by your own admission, you knew Mandelson had been associated with Epstein, if not to the true full extent.
Can the Prime Minister tell us, did the official security vetting he received mention Mandelson's ongoing relationship with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein?
So clear.
Yes, it did.
Well, Mandelson told you he had visited and stayed at Jeffrey Epstein's property before he was convicted of sex trafficking underage girls. So there's only a couple of logical conclusions here. Either our forensic former Director of Public Prosecutions didn't consider that was a red flag, or he was completely blindsided by Mandelson. Neither option screams sound judgment for a man who's meant to lead this once great country. Then there's this. Starmer's apparent attempt to twist the narrative like a victim card today after and during the apology.
Prime Minister, why was it that a man who had already twice resigned from government and, crucially, had a publicly known ongoing friendship with a convicted paedophile was appointed by you as ambassador to Washington?
It has been known publicly for some time that they knew each other. That is precisely why those questions were asked. The answers given to those questions were intentionally intended to create the impression that Mandelson barely knew him.
Pay attention to that bit. It was intentionally intended to create the impression that Mandelson barely knew Epstein. That is a really strange way of answering that question. Let me put to you what he's saying in layman's terms. The Prime Minister, in that so-called apology, once again did not deny he knew about the Mandelson-Epstein relationship, nor did he deny that he knew Mandelson had stayed with Epstein. He is simply trying to point the blame of his own lack of judgment onto Mandelson. Well, I'm not that stupid, Prime Minister, and neither are our viewers here at GB News. And here's the contrast, frankly, that should make most people absolutely furious. There are thousands of grooming gang victims still waiting for something far more meaningful than a clipped tactical sorry at an event. Years of abuse, years of institutional failure, years of alleged cover-ups, and still no full national reckoning has taken place. Can you believe it? Yet when his own position is under pressure, the Prime Minister finds his contrition instantly. When campaigners demanded a national inquiry into Pakistani grooming gangs, what did he call it?
And when politicians, and I mean politicians, who sat in government for many years, are casual about honesty, decency, truth and the rule of law, calling for inquiries because they want to jump on a bandwagon of the far right.
Yes, the bandwagon of the far right, remember that. So the question now isn't just about Mandelson, is it? It's about credibility, about judgment, about whether Labour MPs are prepared to keep defending, frankly, the indefensible. Because right now, vast swathes of the entire country simply do not believe a word the Prime Minister says. And to borrow a phrase,
you don't need it to be Christmas to know when you're sitting next to a turkey.
And just to conclude, when you're offering an apology to the nation, Prime Minister, I'd advise this.
Put on a proper suit, do up your tie and sing the national anthem.
As ever, love to know what you think. gbnews.com/yours. I've got my panel here with me, Aman Bogle and Sebastian Salek. Aman, I'll start with you. What did you make of the Prime Minister's so-called apology today?
Look, I think, Alex, it's very simple. Most people around the country understand that this is the accidental Prime Minister who managed to achieve a sandcastle majority, which is now literally slithering away simply because he's unfit to be Prime Minister. Labour are unfit for Britain. It's quite simple. The ex-head of the MI6 have come out today and said that allegedly the Prime Minister appointed Mandelson before the security clearance was granted. And that sort of begs the question as to what sort of a relationship does Starmer have with Mandelson? And of course, the bigger question here is there a link between Mandelson and his variety of contacts in Washington and the Chagos Islands surrender?
Yeah, there's a lot packed in, isn't there? This is the problem. People are trying to unravel it, Sebastian. The charge here is that the Prime Minister's judgment, at the bare minimum, is so poor that he knew not maybe the full extent of the relationship, but he knew of a relationship with Epstein, between Mandelson and Epstein, and he still decided to continue anyway, Sebastian. That is, by any standard, a man with poor judgment, is it not?
Well, everybody knew about the relationship. It was in the public domain. And what I'm surprised to see is that the media and Starmer's political opponents are jumping on him today, rather at the time when Mandelson was first appointed. Now, look, I'm not here to defend Mandelson. He's done an awful thing. He shouldn't have had anything to do with Epstein. And the emails that have come out this week have been completely shocking. But it all lies in that report we're going to get. We're going to get some kind of disclosure, hopefully very, very soon, that will tell us the depth of what Starmer knew when he made that decision, and that will be what all of this hinges on.
But that disclosure, let's be honest, last night it was Labour MPs that decided that it shouldn't be a Labour panel that comes out with that disclosure, but instead the Intelligence Committee.
It was never going to be a Labour panel.
Well, the fact that there is
he was going to be the Cabinet Secretary.
There is no confidence amongst. There is very little confidence amongst Labour backbenchers in their Prime Minister. Let's be honest.
Do you think he's finished?
I think he's completely cooked, completely finished.
How long do you give it?
Well, I think we'll see something manoeuvring around the May election.
Do you think, Sebastian, the Prime Minister can continue in his job? And I think that just to pose the reasons as to why, so you can challenge the reasoning. First, people will say, well, how can any of his backbench MPs, how can he pass legislation that is difficult and controversial, which we do need to do in Britain? How can he also be trusted on his judgment? Do you think that's a man that can govern?
Yes. Look, I think it all depends on the nature of that report that we get. If it turns out that Starmer has been lying to us all and that he knew way more than he's letting on, then of course he's completely toast. If I had to guess, and I don't really want to have to guess, I think he's probably telling the truth. He's a man who built his political brand on being an honest broker. Remember those days when he stood opposite Boris Johnson in the dispatch box?
I'm not even assuming he's lying. He's been honest and said he knows. He knew about the relationship between Mandelson and Epstein in the vetting process. That is the issue here. I'm not accusing him of lying about anything. He's been very open. I'm actually saying that the evidence we have at this point in time is damning enough. Boris Johnson was forced to resign over matters, particularly the current Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, tried to get Boris to resign over the birthday cake scandal in Downing Street. This is worse. This is a man whose judgment has looked at Peter Mandelson, who's best friends or friendly with a convicted, prolific international paedophile, and gone, I think you'll be all right in this job.
Well, that's exactly it. The best friends stuff came out much later on, and it was after the appointment. If Starmer had known that, I'm sure he wouldn't have appointed him. It seemed to him, and it's what he said today, that Mandelson gave a very light account of how well he knew
on the contrary, I think, look, let's look beyond Westminster itself. The British metropolitan liberal elite, they're all, including the metropolitan elite press, were lauding Mandelson's appointment in Washington. That sort of tells you the story of what sort of network has been operating within the SW1 bubble. And that's what this is about, you know. The whole place is rotten. And I think it's about time that we make goodness fashionable again.
Yeah, indeed. And Sebastian, final remarks from you. There's now, Angela Rayner yesterday in the House of Commons basically twisting the knife into the back of the Prime Minister around this amendment that was, dubbed by Kemi Badenoch as a whitewash amendment to stop the public and MPs from learning the full truth. Labour backbenchers, it's gone so far that backbenchers have basically warned the Prime Minister not to go ahead with it because they will block it, which would inevitably lead to a no-confidence vote. You still think, after all of that the Prime Minister is going to be able to govern?
Well, we know that backbenchers within the Labour Party are a powerful bloc. There are a lot of them. We saw what happened with welfare, and that's just a reality of this government. And Starmer got through that last year. That was, what was that, about 9 months ago now? And
with U-turn after U-turn.
Well, look, we can get into whether you think they're really U-turns.
Of course they are.
The point is, he's managed to get through that so far. Let's see what comes out of that disclosure. Let's see how damning that is, and then we'll be able to make an accurate assessment of Starmer's future prospects.
This is now a zombie government, and it's about time we have a general election and get rid of
this. And what would that solve? Because we've done that time and time again.
Yes.
And that's the reason we've had Prime Minister after Prime Minister serving for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And where has that got us? Absolutely nowhere. It's in the national interest that we allow one Prime Minister to serve their term and to enact an agenda.
Why do you think it would benefit us?
Well, look, it's got us to an anti-national government. This is an anti-national Prime Minister.
What does that mean?
What that means is that he's not serving in British national interest.
Why?
Do you really think it was in British national interest to send Mandelson to Washington, D.C. to deal with Trump, our most closest ally? I don't think that was in the national interest. And it's played out not in the national interest.
Listen, this is not going to go away, this story. There are many of them, I've said this before, but I don't think this one's going to go away. Of course, we're going to still wait. We don't know when the disclosure of these files is going to happen. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But for the moment, next.
There is no legal basis on which we have to give away the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands.
Well, huge breaking news this evening. The Prime Minister has reportedly pulled his Diego Garcia Chagos deal from Parliament until after the February recess. Campaigners are, of course, calling it a huge victory, but the news comes despite claims the USA is now backing the deal. Trump has apparently made some comments on this. Is it time the government accepts the Chagos deal has failed?
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I'm doing this for the blue light personnel. And
I'm just saying that's the police. That is all military personnel, fire and rescue.
Nurses,
the prison wardens,
Correct.
So
Correct.
you're doing very well there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think they deserve. And in a moment where we have a very difficult economic climate, I think that is the best thing I could do. And it's not for one day, it's for the rest of my working life.
So, but they have, is there a free day today? Or so what's happening today specifically?
Today, there is a lunch for hundreds of service personnel in Minori, in Hatch End, and it's free meals for all of them.
That's lovely.
As a sign of gratitude.
And then going forward, it's a 15% discount.
That's correct.
Put it in context for people who just sort of, to give a bit of history about who you are and who you've worked with and whatever. You began, was it the Savoy Hotel in London?
I started at the Savoy.
Did you rub shoulders with anybody famous there?
Oh, a lot. Charlie Chaplin, Sophia Loren, Anthony Quinn. Victor. I could go on and on and on. But my very favourite was Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. Really?
Yes.
That must have been, I mean, he's a world icon, really. I mean, to have met him and...
It's not met them. I built up an amazing relationship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what did you do? Were you a restaurant owner there, or were you working as a chef there?
No, it's funny. I was a night luggage porter.
Oh, really?
And it was my choice to be a night...
So you weren't a chef?
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Well, a pretty big breaking story now. The Prime Minister has reportedly pulled his Diego Garcia Chagos deal, also known as the surrender deal, from the parliamentary calendar until after the February parliamentary recess. The Chagos campaigner Lord Kempsell posted this. Starmer has again pulled the Diego Garcia Chagos bill from the parliamentary calendar, meaning it will not return to Parliament before the recess in Feb. This is despite briefings from Number 10 to The Telegraph suggesting the US now backs the deal. Huge victory. Well, this comes amid reports that President Trump has backed the Prime Minister's deal, and he was confident that the US could militarily secure the base on the island if the lease agreement ever falls apart. However, let's remind ourselves of what Donald Trump said just last month about this deal.
I think that when they originally were going to do it, they were talking about doing some concept of ownership. But now they're looking to essentially just do a lease and sell it. And I'm against that. It's a reasonably nothing like Greenland, but it's a reasonably important area of the globe. Not to anywhere near Greenland, but I think they should keep it. I don't know why they're doing it. Do they need money?
And in the past hour, the US ambassador to the UK, Warren Stevens, posted this on X. The ideal outcome would be for the UK not to transfer sovereignty of the Chagos Islands, but it was the best deal on the table for successive UK governments. And I respect this view, particularly in its guarantees of our profound long-term security imperatives to promote peace, stability and prosperity in the Indian Ocean region. Well, listen, I'm now joined by the man who is the authority on this. He's spokesman for the Friends of the British Overseas Territories. It's Robert Midgley, and of course my panel are here to chat to. Rob, I'll start with you. This is so much going on. It's back and forth. 1 minute we hear good news, next minute we hear bad news. 1 minute Trump's on side, the next minute he's offside. What's going on?
Well, I think, as a famous actor once said, this is where the fun begins. No, this is obviously a really sharp turn, and it's actually quite exciting now because this is, the campaign can officially start. He has not agreed to this. This is not an endorsement whatsoever. He has basically said he doesn't agree with the deal. He is against Starmer. He said that Starmer's pretty much done a really bad job in negotiating. He's walked over this thing. He has made a sheer threat to this deal that in the following months, he could pull the plug very easily, and he's not afraid to use force now. And, all of today, I have seen messages come in from the Department of War, from Marco Rubio's team, from the State Department, all saying, look, we're behind you on this. we're going to put something out that's as diplomatic as possible, but we do not support this. We categorically do not support the transfer of sovereignty. And you've seen this by the ambassador. I spoke to his team last night, and that completely on board with our side, and that's why he's done that just now and not endorsed the deal.
So the way of reading this is a little bit confusing. It's the best deal possible within the time that the government had to agree. Is that the sort of nice diplomacy, or are you being too overly positive, Rob? Is it the US backtracking again and going, actually, do you know what, rubber stamp him?
Look, they could pull this deal any day, to be quite honest. But I think what they have done is actually quite kind to us. They know the bill is going through the Lords at the moment, and this has already been pulled out, it's been suspended, and it's been suspended again until the 23rd of February. So there's every chance now. We have a majority of Lords who are against this. This could fall in the Lords and the whole thing would be pulled out.
Well, this is that brings me nicely onto my next question for you, Rob, before I open up to the panel. Could the Lords still use this kill motion? Is that something that, when this bill comes back, that we should be looking out to see whether the Conservative Party holds up its end of its promise to us, which it would destroy this bill? They didn't do it last time. Have they got a second chance?
I think they do, and I think we've got a new player in the ring as well. Because of all the Mandelson stuff, they're going to bring out some sort of the international clause they keep talking about. There's going to be something in that, and I think by the Lords not going ahead next week, it's actually buying us time, maybe about 3 or 4 weeks to find something else, because there's also been allegations of fraud today behind the Chagos deal, and the person who's been negotiating that has been Lord Mandelson. So I think there's a lot more to come on this, Alex.
This is going to be very interesting, because if that's partially one of the reasons why, we're just speculating here, the Prime Minister's pulled this bill because Mandelson's fingerprints are all over it. We'll find out. Sebastian, I'll come to you. The Prime Minister has pulled the bill, obviously not feeling confident he can get it done in time. Do you think this is just delaying the inevitable? The bill's going to die and actually he should just pull it off the agenda altogether?
Well, it sounds like we do need US consent to get this through now. There's this concern about the treaty that it may violate. But it's important because the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, said that we should give this back. And the whole reason that court exists is to uphold international law. And there is no real power, let's be honest, in international law. If you don't follow them, then nothing happens.
As Donald Trump has taught us over the last few months. It's completely toothless.
And I wouldn't want Britain to be a player in the downfall of an international court, because once that happens, how can you look at countries like China, countries like Russia, and hold them to account? We have to be better than them. We have to hold ourselves to a high moral standard.
Aman, you're laughing. Why?
Look, this is again evidence of this government being anti-national. This is not in Britain's national interest. These are our territories and they should never have been given away in this way. Let's be honest. The only thing that can happen now is for the US to take over this militarily if needed and defend the Western interest in the Indian Ocean region. Look, there's a way of keeping the Chinese communists away from these parts of the Indian Ocean region. We already have the Alagala Islands, which are being monitored by the Indian Navy. Our friends in Delhi, there's a lot of work to be done with them to make sure that the Chagos Islands stays A, British, and B, that we keep the Chinese communists away in the Indian Ocean region.
So I've got some views here, Rob, and I want to know what you make of them from our members. Beefeater here says President Trump is playing with Starmer. He will have agreed to delay the deal until Starmer is gone. He knows Starmer is toast now. So there's any truth to that?
Yeah, I think he's playing him, absolutely. But I just come back on your point about the international cause, because you would also know that the ruling could never have been binding between two Commonwealth members in the future. This was a non-binding advisory opinion, which doesn't mean anything. And also...
Well, none of it means anything if you don't follow it.
And also, we're not giving it back because Mauritius never owned these islands.
Exactly.
So we're not giving it back. They have no sovereignty right here.
But we're following the advisory opinion of the International Court.
Yeah, there's no such thing as international law. I'm sorry, there's no such thing as international law.
Well, there isn't if you don't follow it.
No, there's no such thing. We are British, we are sovereign, and it's about time that we uphold the rights of our own people and our own territories as British. There's no other way around it.
Well, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but the International Court of Justice does exist.
Well,
if we were
there's no such thing as international law. We have internationalist socialists.
I mean, there are international lawyers, there are international judges, there are international courts, there are international rulings.
Yes.
It's all there.
Okay.
It's all there.
So to say it doesn't exist is a fiction.
Let's give this to Rob. Go on.
Sorry, if we were to follow international law, we'd be following the military exemptions that apply to the Chagos Islands in the ITU and UN clause, which they're not following in this circumstance. So why aren't we actually following it?
Well, Rob, can I put this to you? Senator John Kennedy, he's quite an outspoken man.
Saw him last week. Yeah.
Oh, well, he's an extremely enthusiastic individual for British people, obviously, who won't have heard of him. He's not one of the Kennedys, just that we're like, RFK Jr., for example. But he's actually said here, well, if we're going to give them away anyway, why don't we sell them to America? America would buy them. Yeah. That'd be a better deal than us paying for us to get rid of them, wouldn't it?
No, absolutely. And, Trump does allude to this, that he is prepared to take them by force if something doesn't quite work out.
And that's what he's alluding to there, saying we have got solutions if needed, can secure them.
He's pointed out here the legal bogus stuff. He's noted that, and he's not afraid to use that again in a few weeks' time once Starmer is gone.
That'll be very interesting. Rob Midgley, as ever, a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you. Coming up in just a moment.
How can it be right to turn a blind eye to racist hatred of any kind?
Well, after apologising to Jeffrey Epstein's victims, Keir Starmer turned to migration, arguing values and contribution matter more than skin colour and dismissing what he called liberal vanity. He slammed Robert Jenrick over his white faces remarks and left over anti-Semitism on pro-Palestine marches. Is this finally a sign of leadership, or is it merely a distraction from record immigration under his watch? That's next.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
There's more very heavy rain to come across parts of Spain and Portugal and North Morocco as we head into the weekend. Strong winds continue to be an issue here as well. A bit breezy in the Canaries, but plenty of sunshine here. Things turning a bit brighter in Catalonia, but there's that next zone of wet weather coming into Spain and Portugal. Showery for Italy and some heavy showers for Croatia and the mainland of Greece as well. Generally dry in Cyprus with some hazy sunshine here. The Canaries remain the place to be for dry, sunny weather this weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. This is your latest Met Office weather update for GB News. Plenty more wet weather to come as we go through the rest of today and into tomorrow. Also, some significant hill snow building up over some northern parts. At the moment, we have low pressure to the southwest of us, and it's this that's bringing some fairly strong winds coming in from the east, particularly across northern areas. And we have colder air here as well, which is why we're readily seeing some snow building up over the hills and mountains of northern England and parts of Scotland. Could cause some disruption with several centimetres lying in some places. Otherwise, it is looking cloudy and wet for many of us. With that, then, temperatures not dropping a huge amount towards the south, but across northern areas a few degrees lower than last night. Could be a bit of frost around in some sheltered places away from those brisk winds coming in from the east, and where we get any clear skies. Through tomorrow morning, the brightest weather will be across western parts of Scotland. Cloudier, wetter and wintry further east. Meanwhile, it's a very wet start across much of Northern Ireland. The rain continuing to build up through the day, so we could see some problems. 60 to 80 millimetres perhaps of rain building up across some of the higher ground. Also a cloudy, wet start across much of England and Wales, and again in the southwest and across parts of Wales. We could see some impacts as a result of the heavy rain that we've seen through today and will continue into tomorrow. The rain actually across some parts of the southwest will become a bit more showery, so breaking up a little bit, some drier, perhaps even brighter spells, but with that, the potential for a few rumbles of thunder. Temperatures in the south look similar to today, maybe a degree higher, 12, maybe 13 Celsius possible, but further north, still a cold feel, especially with that brisk easterly wind. Then into Saturday, some brighter weather across some parts of northern England, eastern England as well at times, but otherwise again a lot of cloud and a lot of rain. The rain perhaps not as heavy as what we're seeing at the moment, but nonetheless it could cause some problems just because how wet the ground is. More cloudy, often wet weather to come as we go through the back end of the weekend and into next week. Bye-bye.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health, Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, Sir Keir Starmer's apology to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein today preceded a long speech about migration, something he's promised to tackle since becoming Prime Minister, of course. Well, today, he argued that integration, contribution and shared values matter more than skin colour. He pointed to Britain's history with immigration, including Windrush, rejecting what he called liberal vanity, the idea that migration is about charity rather than mutual need and contribution. Well, Sir Keir also took aim at both sides of the political divide. On the right, he criticised Robert Jenrick for his white faces remark in Birmingham.
I never thought I would see the day when the Conservative Party would tolerate for months a man who went to Birmingham and said that the city had failed at integration because he didn't see enough white faces. That is a disgrace, and he should have been sacked months ago.
And on the left, he condemned anti-Semitism seen on some pro-Palestine marches, despite recognising the state of Palestine.
It is the policy of this government and this country to recognise Palestine. And yet, on the marches that supposedly support that cause, you will often see clearly racist banners, anti-Semitic hate, a fact that leaves a minority community in this country scared and intimidated. How can it be right to turn a blind eye to racist hatred of any kind?
Well, this is all really interesting, isn't it? Because many people will say, actually, maybe Keir Starmer is now just saying, do you know what? I'm done playing party politics. I'm going to do things my way. I'm going to say what I like. Because he never would have condemned so much of the Palestine protests before. And that's one of the first times we really heard him do that. Or is he getting right? Or is this simply detracting attention away from record levels of immigration under his leadership? All right, let's put this straight to my panel, Aman Bogle and Sebastian Salek. Sebastian, I'll start with you. Is the Prime Minister right today? Is he trying to set himself up as the centrist here? Is that what he's trying to do?
I think he's just calling out wrong when he sees it. I mean, I would agree with both of those assessments. I think what Robert Jenrick said was horrible, and I think anybody who goes on a march with anti-Semitic signs is also completely deplorable. So, yeah, right on both counts from me. I don't know where it falls on the political spectrum, but it's a 2 out of 2.
This is typical Starmer skullduggery. He says one thing and does another. What has he actually done to stop these hate marches? What has he done to tackle anti-Semitism on our streets when British Jews feel unsafe to venture out in their own communities and in their own towns?
He's introduced funding for it.
Funding for it?
Yeah.
Has he stopped the hate marches?
No, because...
because why?
Because they're not hate marches, they are protests. There are people there on those marches who are deplorable, but the entire march is a valid expression
Globalised
of people's
intifada
views.
is what comes out of those hate marches.
Yes, that's an example of something that is deplorable.
And what has been done to stop it?
But that is not an example of the wider protest, which is legitimate.
Well, you go once in a protest and you hear these words, from the river to the sea. You hear once, you hear twice, and still people keep coming to them. Do you think they don't agree with all of that?
Aman, answer me this. Is it possible to quietly disagree with what Israel is doing in Gaza?
What is Israel doing in Gaza? Israel is taking out Hamas. Look, it's quite simple.
You've ignored my question.
No, I haven't. If you want to free Gaza, then go to Palestine. What on earth are you doing here, wasting our time in Britain?
Okay.
If you want to free Kashmir, then go to Pakistan. Why are you wasting our time here? We do not need sectarianism on our streets here in Britain.
Great. Could you answer my question now, please?
What's the question?
I just asked it to you. I'll repeat it. If you are quietly appalled by what Israel has done in Gaza And he
What
wants to
has
register.
Israel done in Gaza? Go and tell me.
It reduced it to rubble.
Why?
Have you watched the news at all?
Why has it reduced it to rubble? Because it was occupied by Hamas. Hamas are the worst terrorists, the Islamist terrorists that have been targeted.
So you think it's okay to kill innocent Gazans?
No, of course it's not. If it's not okay.
Well, that's what's happened.
Well, this is war, okay? This is war, and it's brought on by Hamas, not by Israel, by Hamas. What they did on 7th of October,
Which was horrific. I agree with you on that.
And do you think that Israel should not respond to that?
No, I do think Israel should respond.
So you agree with what Israel is doing then?
I don't think that Israel should be flattening Gaza and killing innocent people.
Well, I think that Hamas shouldn't be hiding behind innocent Palestinians.
Do you think that Israel has been killing innocent people?
No, Israel has been targeting Hamas.
You don't think Israel has been killing innocent people?
Hamas has been targeting...
Can you just get that one more time for the tape, please, Amon? Can I confirm that you just said that you don't think Israel has been killing innocent people?
Israel is not going out to kill innocent people. It is Hamas who is targeting innocent Palestinians, hiding behind schools, building tunnels beneath hospitals. The evidence is there. Okay, don't deny all that. Hamas are terrorists, and it's about time that Israel takes them out. The Palestinians are better free of Hamas.
Stunned.
Okay? If you don't want to condemn Hamas, that's on you, Seb.
Hang on. Don't put words in my mouth. That is incredibly rude of you.
Okay, condemn Hamas then.
Hamas is evil. I will condemn them every day of the week.
Do you agree that Hamas has been building tunnels underneath civilian infrastructure? Do you agree that Hamas have been hiding in hospitals?
Can I stop, because I don't want to get into a debate about Palestine specifically here.
Yeah, this got weird.
It's gone off a bit of a trail. I want to talk about what the Prime Minister said. I want to talk about whether or not the Prime Minister is using immigration, which is one of the most important topics in the country right now, as a bit of a distraction in order to take away from what he's doing. As we used, pointed to Robert Jenrick, he's pointed to Palestine marches. I would say this, Sebastian. The Prime Minister, on many occasions, has condemned protests in London. He condemned them as far right. He's condemned them as bandwagons in some cases when it came to the National Grooming Gang inquiry, which he later U-turned on. And when it came to the pro-Palestine marches, which many have been violent, he's been quiet on them. Why now has he decided to speak out?
I think he's putting his values out there. And I think we heard pure, unfiltered Starmer today. We know what he stands for.
It's taken him, 2 years to come out with his values?
Well, no, we've had it throughout.
Let's be honest.
It's not just started today. Under Starmer, we've had more of it today.
Under Starmer, we've had 65,000 illegal dinghywalas crossing the channel. Okay, and he's done nothing to smash the gangs.
Has the asylum backlog gone up or down in that time?
It doesn't matter.
Of course it matters. Why doesn't it matter?
What matters? Well, what are you doing with the asylum backlog? You're just regularising illegal migrants.
People who've come here seeking
you're giving
our help.
out. No, they're not seeking asylum. They're illegal economic migrants.
It's not illegal to claim asylum. If you're going to come here and debate, Aman, please get the facts right.
I don't care. I don't care what you brand it as, Seb.
I'm not branding it as anything. I'm just reporting to you the current state of the law. It is not illegal to claim asylum.
It is illegal to cross our border if you break into Britain, okay? These people are illegal economic migrants. If you want to claim that the asylum backlog is being reduced,
illegal economic migrants.
Yes, they are.
So you think that every asylum seeker is coming
Where are the children?
Is not a
Where are the women and children?
Seeker.
Where are the women and children?
Do you not think that statistically it's incredibly unlikely that there are 0% valid asylum seekers coming?
There are.
Does that not strike you as odd?
Where are the women and children?
Does that not strike you as odd?
Where are the women and children, Seb? Where are the women and children?
Do you know how this works?
74% of people crossing the channel are men of fighting age. They're not women and men.
Yes.
They're not women and children.
Because if you're fleeing a war zone, often you're quite at risk.
Okay, so they're leaving the women and children in the war zone, are they?
Well, often if you leave a war zone and you're a man, you're more at risk because you're the one who is expected to go and fight.
So where are the women and children? Go and tell me. You haven't got the answer to that.
Right,
they come afterwards as dependents.
Gentlemen, I'm going to leave the debate there. Listen, I think this is the truth of it, isn't it? It is such a heated debate that actually what it's done, and this is my opinion, this is why I wanted to discuss it, is I think it's taken away from what the Prime Minister's talking about today. It is focusing on the issues that he wants you to look at and go, don't look over here, look over here. That's my take on it, right? Listen, we have to leave it there. I'm sorry, Aman, I know you want to say more, but we have to leave it there. There's plenty more time to talk about illegal migration, I'm sure of it. In a moment.
Today marks the beginning of something long overdue. Today we open the hearings of our independent rape gang inquiry.
This week, what many call the biggest scandal in modern British history is back in the spotlight as the independent MP Rupert Lowe launches a crowd-funded inquiry into the rape gangs. But why has it taken a crowdfunder and a backbench MP for this to happen? That's next.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
An independent inquiry launched by the independent MP for Great Yarmouth, Rupert Lowe, into the rape gang scandal is hearing harrowing testimonies from survivors, which they say the state has long avoided confronting. Survivors described widespread, organised abuse, alleging specific demographic patterns and repeated failures by authorities to intervene. Well, Mr. Lowe has funded the independent inquiry through crowdfunding. He raised an incredible £600,000 from the British public, with many praising his efforts. It's also led to questions as to why an inquiry has had to be set up privately with crowd-funded money. Should the government, and previous governments, to be fair, have done more to find truth and justice for our victims? Let's go over to my panel to discuss this. Oh man, a very honourable thing Rupert Lowe's done here, and a lot of work that goes into these things as well. And he's got a cross-party selection of some very, very good MPs who are sitting on this panel. How on earth has it got to a place where the British public are paying for a rape gang inquiry, and a backbench MP has pulled it together quicker than the government and all its resources?
Well, indeed. I think, look, this is the Rupert Lowe's inquiry is what Britain should have had maybe 30 years ago, not in 2026. Let's be honest, for more than 5 decades, I would argue, we've had the cover-up of the Pakistani rape gangs. This is a real indictment of successive governments not doing enough, brushing it under the carpet. We've heard this week that George Osborne claimed, what's his name, to Ed Balls on his podcast, saying, well, you know what, it wasn't politically expedient for us to be going after the Pakistani rape gangs in Labour-held seats. That's a real indictment of how the establishment has worked on all of this. I think, look, it's quite simple. The government's grooming gang inquiry, I would argue that it's nothing but a cover-up machine to make sure that the racial and the religious elements to any of this are covered up and not discussed. And that's exactly what Britain needs to talk about. It's watered down.
Let me come over to you on this, Sebastian, because what the Prime Minister tried to do, and I'm making, maybe you can say it's an unfair comparison if you'd like to, but it's the first thing that struck me when the Prime Minister was trying to put his amendment through for the Jeffrey Epstein and Mandelson files the other day. It seemed like an attempt to withhold the information that was absolutely necessary for our MPs and the public to know. I'm concerned that with the amount of time it's taken for this national inquiry to get started, we're almost over a year since the news re-broke again and forced the government into starting to defend itself before it then U-turned. I'm very concerned that this is going to end up as a cover-up, as a whitewash. Should people be worried about that?
Well, first of all, let's remind ourselves why there was so much toing and froing about it. Starmer went to Baroness Casey and said, should we have this inquiry? She went in, looked at the facts and looked at the data. Initially, she said no. Then she changed her mind and said yes. So I was pleased that there was an external person involved making that objective decision. Now, I'm pleased we're having that inquiry as well. It's important. We mustn't be afraid to be called racist. We must do justice by the victims. What concerns me, though, about Rupert Lowe's attempt is that it's not statutory. It has no legal powers. He can't force anybody to give testimony, to give evidence, and the results aren't legally binding. So I would ask, out of curiosity, really, and I'd welcome your views, what's it going to achieve that a national inquiry isn't going to?
Well, I think at least it starts to give victims a sense that they're going to be heard. And this is the issue. We've already seen the politically charged nature of the national inquiry with, Labour figures being sort of positioned in top roles in this inquiry, which is very worrying. I don't know what you think, Aman.
Well, absolutely. We've already seen 5 survivors who have resigned from this government inquiry because they weren't allowed to talk freely about their experiences and what they had suffered. And let's be honest, the government has changed the very prospects of this inquiry from focusing on Pakistani rape gangs to child sexual abuse.
Yes.
And that sort of waters down exactly what so many women and girls have suffered over the last 5 decades.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both. A Home Office spokesperson said this: the abuse of children by grooming gangs is one of the most horrific crimes imaginable. We will do everything in our power to ensure these crimes never happen again. That is why we've launched a statutory inquiry equipped with the powers and resources required to get to the truth and deliver justice for the survivors. Anyway, I'm back tomorrow night at this time for State of the Nation on Fridays, and Jacob will be back on Monday. Up next is Patrick Christie. Patrick, what you got coming up?
Yeah, well, fantastic show, Alex. Well done. Not a single Labour cabinet minister has resigned over the Mandelson scandal. How can that be? Seriously, no morals, no principles. Also, though, the big story for us today, I was in court today for the sentencing of an Iranian illegal migrant sex attacker. His brave victim, Abby, has waived her right to anonymity. We're going to be hearing from her, but we hear a lot all the time, don't we, about these illegal migrant sex attacks. So what I want to do tonight is actually take you inside that courtroom so you can find out what kind of arguments the defence used. And also, actually, and this is a rare sight on this show, I must say, praise a judge. There was I thought, anyway, a fantastic judge today, and it really does show you what can be done if the judge has enough will. Stellar show coming your way.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. This is your latest Met Office weather update for GB News. Plenty more wet weather to come as we go through the rest of today and into tomorrow. Also, some significant hill snow building up over some northern parts. At the moment, we have low pressure to the southwest of us, and it's this that's bringing some fairly strong winds coming in from the east, particularly across northern areas. And we have colder air here as well, which is why we're readily seeing some snow building up over the hills and mountains of northern England and parts of Scotland. Could cause some disruption with several centimetres lying in some places. Otherwise, it is looking cloudy and wet for many of us. With that, then, temperatures not dropping a huge amount towards the south, but across northern areas, a few degrees lower than last night. Could be a bit of frost around in some sheltered places away from those brisk winds coming in from the east, and where we get any clear skies. Through tomorrow morning, the brightest weather will be across western parts of Scotland. Cloudier, wetter and wintry further east. Meanwhile, it's a very wet start across much of Northern Ireland. The rain continuing to build up through the day, so we could see some problems. 60 to 80 millimetres perhaps of rain building up across some of the higher ground. Also a cloudy, wet start across much of England and Wales, and again in the southwest and across parts of Wales. We could see some impacts as a result of the heavy rain that we've seen through today and will continue into tomorrow. The rain actually across some parts of the southwest will become a bit more showery, so breaking up a little bit, some drier, perhaps even brighter spells, but with that, the potential for a few rumbles of thunder. Temperatures in the south look similar to today, maybe a degree higher, 12, maybe 13 Celsius possible, but further north, still a cold feel, especially with that brisk easterly wind. Then into Saturday, some brighter weather across some parts of northern England, eastern England as well at times, but otherwise again a lot of cloud and a lot of rain. The rain perhaps not as heavy as what we're seeing at the moment, but nonetheless it could cause some problems just because how wet the ground is. More cloudy, often wet weather to come as we go through the back end of the weekend and into next week. Bye-bye.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
This year, the adventure of a lifetime could be on us. Courtesy of Riviera Travel, there's a terrific £10,000 holiday for two to be won. Choose from over 30 worldwide destinations like Thailand, South Africa, New Zealand or even Sri Lanka. We'll also boost your bank account with a fabulous £30,000 in tax-free cash.
For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech, the rule of law, the rights of property,